What's happening, guys? Welcome to another video. So I was debating whether or not to actually do this video in the first place, but this is going to be my 6-month update since my FUE hair transplant in Istanbul, Turkey with Gethair and Dr. Tayfun. So you can see obviously my hair has grown quite a lot, partly due to the fact that you can't get a haircut at the minute. So that was kind of the reason why I was debating whether or not to do this video in the first place. But I thought it'd be kind of just, you know, give you an insight into kind of what it looks like when obviously it grows out longer than you might normally have your hair. So it goes without saying, you've probably seen some of my older videos, my hair would normally be pretty short on the sides, kind of short, skin fade, etc. And then like a bit of length on the top and that. At the minute, that's not really possible. And so what I've really been doing, to be honest, is just wearing a hat most of the time. So yeah, like I said, today's video is to give you a bit of an update on how it's all going and to kind of show you which areas have grown quicker than others and a bit of background info and stuff as well, alright? So let's go to it. So you can see along the frontal hairline, it's grown fairly well. Now 6 months marks kind of, for a lot of people, they see almost their full result at 6 months. For me personally, I wouldn't say this is the full result. Certainly there are thick hairs coming through, definitely at the front. The crown's taking a fair bit longer to kind of grow and stuff, but I am kind of hopeful that that is going to start to fill in. So, you know, you'll read lots of different things basically, which will say, oh, you know, by months 4 and 5, you're going to have really strong hair growth. By month 6, you've got pretty much your full result and stuff. But then they also say that it can be anything up to 12, potentially even 18 months. From my personal experience, obviously I'm at the 6-month point, I don't think the result is the full result. So what I can see are some very thick hairs, more notably on the temple areas on the left and on the right. They've grown very well. But then in the central part here on the frontal hairline, there are some thick hairs, but then there's also some kind of quite fine, thinner hairs, which I'm assuming will start to thicken out, you know, the longer they grow for, basically. At the crown, it hasn't really changed too much, but again, you know, the crown notoriously takes longer to grow anyway. And so, you know, from my point of view, I'm not really in a rush, basically. I've said that all along. I've kind of given it 12 months in order for you to see the full result. And so, you know, lots of things that I've read online, like blogs and stuff, have said that in actual fact, it's kind of months sort of 7 to 8 where they actually see the most amount of growth. I've seen a hell of a lot of growth since my last update I've put up on here. So that was a 21-week update. In that period of time, I haven't been able to get a haircut, hence why it's so much longer than it was before. But it's changed an awful lot in the transplanted areas. The donor areas, quite frankly, I've said that all along, that they heal very quickly and I can't really see anything. That might change when I get like a kind of skin fade or something, but as my hair currently is, it's, you know, it's pretty thick and stuff there, so you're not really going to see any negative kind of like, you know, you're not going to see any like pop marks or scars and stuff like that unless you've got a skin fade. So I'll kind of know when I do that, basically. So yeah, what I've been doing for the sort of past 2 months or so, I would say, you know, in England we'd have really hot weather. It's been like 25, 26 degrees, bright sunshine. I've been training outside and stuff, obviously because the gyms are shut. So whilst I've been doing that, and just, you know, when I've been out and about generally day to day, I am just wearing a flat cap. So for me personally, I'm not really a cap wearer. I never kind of have been since I was maybe, last time I probably wore a cap was when I was about 12 or something, which is quite a long time ago. But I kind of knew obviously that, you know, through the process of the hair transplant, there'll be periods of time where it doesn't look very good. And more notably like 6 weeks, probably all the way up to about 18 weeks. It looks pretty shit, to be honest with you. So I got a cap. I made a point of just buying myself like a nice cap, so it'd be one that I'd actually want to wear. So, you know, I spent a bit more money than I might. You can get cheap caps and stuff, that's, you know, neither here nor there, but for me personally, to kind of incentivize me to wear it, I bought myself a nice one, spent probably more money than I should have done, stuff like that, but it's kind of worse. Like I've been wearing it pretty much day to day, and I've almost gotten more comfortable wearing that day to day now. And the reason for that is to stop the redness, basically, because obviously when you're out in bright sunlight, you know, your scalp's quite sensitive anyway. especially after having a hair transplant. And often people will kind of document that, you know, they have redness there up until like 2 years and stuff. Part of the reason for that, even if you're not in very bright sunlight, is that UV rays will kind of damage your skin, whether it's in your scalp or anywhere else, even if it's not particularly bright out. Like those of you that have gone on holiday to Caribbean places like Cuba and Dominican Republic and stuff, you know, the weather can be very cloudy in that, but you will get burnt because the UV rays still come through the clouds. And that type of sunlight is very intense, and especially on a sort of damaged skin, if it's exposed and the hair's not growing fully there, you're going to get a lot of redness, and let's face it, you don't want that redness to stay, basically, right? So for me personally, I don't really think I've got much redness anymore, which I'm pretty chuffed about. So you can see, like I said, that frontal hairline, it's not as thick as the rest of my hair. It's quite thick on the right hand side here, in fact, but more in the center. There's a strong outline of the frontal hairline, and then just a little bit behind it, it's almost, I wouldn't say gappy, but there's certainly kind of little bits where you think, oh, maybe there should be a hair there, and there might be a hair there, it's just not grown yet and stuff, you know? And that's kind of why I was saying that, you know, it's going to be a process of 12 months. You know, if you're getting a hair transplant done and you're thinking that within 6 months you're going to have the full result and you're going to look fantastic and no one will be able to tell, you might get lucky, but the reality is that's probably not going to be the case. You know, the hair that you have transplanted is painfully slow to grow. It will take its time, you know. There's things you can do to speed it up. You know, like I said, I've got other videos and stuff about like supplements you might be able to take and stuff. They'll help a little bit, but the truth of the matter is that it's going to take a while for your hair to grow. It's a slow process, you know. So like I said, that's the frontal hairline. That's it just from the temple. So they didn't fill in anything on this side temple here. It's only along the frontal hairline, and the reason for that was that I asked them to basically make it look natural. You'll see certain people that have had their hair transplants done where they've got like a kind of Lego hairline and it comes out like that. It looks ridiculous. So I didn't want that look at all. I'd rather have no hair there and it look natural than have like implanted hairs and it's a look really pluggy and stuff. So that's the right hand side. You can see like the donor area, it's quite thick and long and stuff, but it's healed incredibly well. Or like the hair grows there normally, you wouldn't even really be able to tell, but that being said, my donor area is pretty thick anyway. It's quite kind of like weighty hair there and stuff, so I'd argue that I was probably a good candidate in the first place for you to not really be able to tell after having had one done. And then, like I said, the crown as well. Crown there. So what I'm going to do is just change the light. So pardon my messy living room, but you get a little bit of a better insight just in that light there. That's, like I said, that frontal middle section. There's a few kind of, I wouldn't say gaps, but basically bits where the hair's not quite come through yet. On the right, it looks pretty good. So that's fairly thick there. And then the left, again, quite thick. You know, like a fairly natural looking hairline. And then let's go through to the crown. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, the crown is taking its time to grow, but I'm hoping that obviously will sort of start to fill out on that. So there we have it, guys. Like I said, that's my 6-month update. It seems to be coming along fairly well. There's a little bit of room for improvement, obviously, but hopefully over the next kind of 3 to 6 months, that's going to sort of start to take place and fill out, and you won't really be able to see the differentiation between the old hairline and the new hairline and things like that. The other thing that's quite kind of positive, I would say, is that often people, when they get their hair transplants done, they'll actually have you know, hair from the back of the head, and then also they'll use beard hair too. So you can see obviously my beard's naturally quite thick and stuff anyway. They usually take it from the little section under your chin here. I didn't kind of opt to have that done because I'd rather have natural head hair implanted in different places, but I suppose it's quite good as almost like a backup plan that, you know, if your donor area starts to run a bit thin or whatnot, you can actually use beard hair, not on the frontal hairline, but kind of in the crown and midsection of your hair, and it will blend in. So that's quite a positive thing for me, basically, because it means that, you know, in the long term, if I choose to have another operation done in, you know, 5-10 years time, or maybe even after that, there will be kind of hair available basically, right? So yeah, as always, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. If you like the video, pop it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content of what I'm kind of going through and stuff, and look at my previous videos, feel free to do that. Share the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to as well, and I will see you very soon.